Hey explorers, this episode was brought to you by Anchor.fm. It's the distribution service that we use to get this podcast to you. And to be honest, it's great. It's free. There's tons of creation tools that let you edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. They upload it to everything, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and tons of others. You can even make money with no minimum listenership. So it's got everything you need in just one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
I should have recorded that.
Yeah, you miss all my... No, you can't do it.
Hey!
Vsauce here. Hey, Vsauce.
Every time I hear fucking Hello Internet, I autocomplete to Welcome to Game Theory.
But that's just a theory. A game theory. Yeah, hey, shout out to that guy.
Hey, if you're that guy.
We know you.
Yeah. Alright, what are we looking at today? We've finished all the basic rules. What is left? What is
We're
next?
doing classes now, baby.
Oh!
Yeah.
So,
Get your character sheets.
I guess we're going to start with Barbarians, since they
Yeah.
are the first.
So we're gonna go through like the character creation.
Bar.
Bar. Yeah, and the roleplay.
Bar. So, I mean, let's start with a little bit of lore. JT, you've played a Barbarian.
I have, and it's
What
very
is-
important that you know all the stereotypes so that you can defy them. Be the barbarian of your dreams, and don't let anybody typecast you into the barbarian that they want to see.
So what is the quintessential Barbarian?
You're the guy who runs in first, hits stuff, gets really mad, and screams at everything.
Yeah.
Like an emotionally unstable father.
So, the Barbarian page brings up things like primal instinct as a
Yes,
big part of
barbarians they're like a very meaty, tough guy, but like naturally so. Whereas like the paladin might be the heavily armored and like well-equipped, you know.
So he like found his
Warrior.
path, whereas the Barbarian was just born this way.
Yeah, you're wrought by nature. Yeah, nature versus nurture.
So Barbarians in the fluff tend to gather around as tribes, which I think is a nice like point of reference to start your Barbarian backstory from.
I think often barbarians can be things like Goliaths or dwarves or...
I mean, anything can be
I
a It's a
guess
bit
everything-
weird if an elf is, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
that
there
just
are
feels
some-
a bit wrong.
I mean, well, again, going back to it just means that you have more, like, variety with your backstory. But you can
Yeah,
kind of
that's
see
true.
why it would be weird, though, because they're, like, a little bit more just primal, tribal.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, definitely. Fun one is always have a gnome barbarian, just a little ball of hate. Just
Yeah, like a Tasmanian devil.
Yeah, Taz!
Type of thing.
God, I haven't thought about that in years.
Yeah, it just runs and spins around and eats everything up, I guess.
So let's get into the crunch of the barbarian.
Yeah, why you all came here today, numbers and stuff.
A barbarian has a 1d12 hit dice, so they are tanky. They have the biggest hit dice available.
Yeah, and we talked about a little bit about hit points and hit dice. When you level up, you can either roll your hit dice,
Always roll. Always roll!
or you can just take the middle
Flat
number.
7.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one above the middle number.
One above the middle
Yeah.
number.
At flat 7, plus your constitution. We all know that. What proficiencies do you get?
So you will be proficient in light armor, medium armor, and shields. I don't know why, because you never want to wear armor.
I guess
We'll get into
if
that
you
later.
need to. But yeah,
Okay,
I mean,
yeah,
this is
really.
where the big hit points kind of makes up for a bit of a lack of armor. in
Oh,
some
but we'll
ways.
talk about like where
You
the
can min-max
actual
it. Don't you worry.
lack of armor works. Yeah.
Weapons.
Simple weapons, martial weapons.
Sorry, just all weapons, really.
Yeah.
But no tools.
Not
Saving
bad.
throws.
You're proficient in strength and constitution saving
makes
throws.
sense, doesn't
Super
it?
straightforward.
Yeah. You're strong and you can take a punch.
Yeah.
The skills that you can choose from.
It can be animal handling, athletics, intimidation, nature, perception, or survival.
I think those all are pretty straightforward because the flavour of the barbarian comes from like the wilderness, the wild, the primeval
Yeah.
kind of mass of nature.
Yeah.
So animal handling, being one with nature, you could take an almost like druidic angle to your barbarian
Could be.
backstory.
Yeah, it could just be like taming the beasts type of thing.
Yeah, that would be quite cool.
Yeah.
The other one's athletics. I mean, that makes sense.
Makes sense.
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, they run forever.
It's the only
Natural
one-
sprinters.
It's the only one that runs off strength as well, so...
Yeah, and intimidation, that also kind of makes sense. They're
You're
scary.
a big boy.
They're just scary people.
Nature, perception, and survival. Perception. I think if there's one that's out, it's perception.
It's because they have a lot of instinct-related things. And this is related to a lot of, like, if you look at the animal
Yeah.
proficiencies, if you ever fight, like, wild animals, a lot of the times they'll be proficient in certain types of perceptions, and I think it leans into that.
Yeah, I guess. I guess if it was insight, that would be a bit weird. I feel like insight is more of a cultivated learning.
Yeah, insight, it would have more to do with having to know people.
Yeah, definitely. So those are your proficiencies. It's a pretty straightforward class. It leans into being big, hitting things, having lots of weapons,
Hitting stuff,
hitting
kicking
stuff naked.
punching stuff.
That's what it's all about. So the biggest mechanic, what this barbarian is all based around, is rage.
Yeah.
What's rage, JT?
When you rage,
Mm-hmm.
you can take your bonus action and enter your rage. And when you rage, you have advantage on all your strength checks and strength-based saving throws.
Damn.
When you make a melee attack using strength,
So not a finesse weapon, not
Yeah.
a bow.
yeah, so not a bow.
Yeah.
It might come up sometimes, but I feel like you'll probably lean into the big axe. or
Yeah,
hammer
you
or
just gotta
whatever.
hit things.
You get bonus damage to that roll that increases as you gain levels. There's a column that we can go through.
Okay.
Your rage damage. And then you have resistance to, this is one that is often forgotten, but like super, super helpful. You have resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage.
Basically,
That's
all attacks.
all the damage. That's every type of
Anything
damage.
that's not magical,
It's not
you're just
magic.
resistant to it.
Yeah.
Resistant to non-magical attacks.
So you
That
get
should
to
just
hack-
read.
Yeah, almost everything that comes at you.
Yeah, that is pretty great. So that is kind of what the barbarian is based around, right?
Yeah.
And it's
when you rage, though, you can't cast spells, which, you know, comes up never unless you're multi-classing. It lasts for 1 minute, and it ends...
or unless you're knocked unconscious.
Yeah, it ends if you're knocked unconscious, or if you haven't attacked a hostile creature, or have been attacked by a hostile creature within 1 turn.
Okay. So you've got to take damage or attack someone, or the
Yeah.
rage ends.
Yeah, you gotta
I
be
feel
in the
like-
flurry of it.
Yeah, I feel like this is a mechanic that comes up in video games a lot.
Yeah.
It's like you enter
It's like a combo.
mode, a
It's like-
state, and then you do extra damage, and there'll be some bar that's slowly depleting, and the more
Yeah.
you hit things, the more it goes up.
It kind of feels like a combo multiplier.
God of War have that. WoW has it. The
Hmm.
tank classes rage. Warriors, that's the one.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it makes kind of intuitive sense if you play any kind of
Yeah.
video games.
Gotta go fast, can't stop. Until you get enough.
So you can't just rage. Well, you don't have to just rage once. The higher level you go, the more rages you get. Up to a maximum of unlimited at level 20. But level 19 is 6. So it kind of goes up. You get one every 3, 4, 5 levels or so.
Yeah.
It changes a bit.
So it's an amount per long rest
Yeah.
or short rest.
And the rage damage goes up to +4. From +2, +3 at level 9, and +4 at level 16. So that's rage. And a lot of things will kind of roll off rage.
Yeah.
The other part is you're going to be fighting with your nipples out.
Yeah, don't wear clothes because you have unarmored defense. So when you're not wearing armor, your AC is, your armor class is 10 plus your dex
Yep.
plus your constitution.
Woo.
Yeah, so
And
that
you
can be pretty
use,
big.
You can still use a shield to gain benefits. Let's say you max out both. Your mid-level, you max out both. That's 20.
Yeah, so you can easily have like a
AC
huge...
+2.
Yeah, but if you max out dex, then you're not putting in any strength. You got little flaccid biceps.
Yeah, if you don't take any feats as you level up, and you just take the ability score improvements.
Flat biceps.
Yeah, so every few levels you can up your ability scores, your basic ability scores.
Yeah.
I think one of the problems is it leads you into a very top-heavy class. with this. You're kind of pushed to having a 20 in strength, 20 in dex, 20 in con. And then to facilitate that, 8, 8, 8.
I mean, often, like, I think you don't necessarily need to have the dex. I mean, obviously it helps with your AC, but it's more important to have your constitution.
Yeah, because that also gives you more health.
Yeah.
So you should definitely max out the strength and
constitution first, and then your third one would be dex.
Yeah, you can almost do that when you create your character, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. Dex feels a bit weird to throw in there. It's like the only time you need dex as a barbarian.
It's for your AC.
Yeah, it's for your AC, but it's such a important thing.
Yeah.
So let's go through what you get at levels. At level 2, you'll get Reckless Attack. Starting at 2nd level, you throw aside all concern for defense to attack with fierce desperation. When you make your first attack on your turn, you can decide to attack relentlessly. Doing so gives you advantage on melee weapon attack rolls using strength during this turn, but attack rolls against you have advantage until next turn.
Yeah, so this is like I am throwing everything into my attacks without any abandon. Like...
Yeah, again, this is where having a high con makes for a kind of bigger damage pool, because you're going to be taking more damage in the long run, so having a higher HP...
Unless you kill everything before they can kill you. I think that's
kill
kind
everything
of like...
in one turn.
Yeah, that's the strategy here.
Yeah, they just you can do it as many times as you like as well.
Yeah,
it's just once per turn.
Yeah, because it comes with its consequence attached. Right?
Yeah,
its consequence is that after you've recklessly attacked, everything has advantage on you.
Yeah,
yeah. That's
so
like a calculated strategy.
Yeah, it's pretty much if you've got the health, go for it.
Yeah.
Size up your enemy, see what they're doing. This has a bit of a deeper strategy than you first think, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You've got to kind of work out if you've got the health, if they're going to do the damage, and also if your party can heal you. So make sure you communicate. If you think you're going to be taking a lot of damage, communicate to your healer.
Yeah.
Heals, please. Okay, so the next one.
Danger Sense. Yeah, this one is also on 2nd level, and you just have advantage on any dexterity saving throws against effects that you can see. So these will be like traps, and it can be spells, but this is like the can you see part is the important part, because you can't be blinded, you can't be in total darkness unless you have a way around that.
Yeah, if you have the status effect, blind, deafened, or incapacitated, obviously.
Yeah, if you did, you can't dodge.
You no longer have advantage on dex, but yeah, it gives you advantage on dex. That's pretty straightforward. Primal Path. At 3rd level, you choose a path. So this is kind of like your specialization, and we're going to give these their own episodes, I think.
Yeah, every character class has their own like specialization that you can go into.
Yeah.
And it's just like when you get your major in college, you can get a minor, you can get like, sometimes you can specialize, or you can go to the graduate school, this is your graduate school.
I mean, bards go to colleges. So.
Yeah, like quite literally sometimes.
So yeah, you'll choose your primal path, and that will really decide your playstyle.
Yeah, that'll come up with all of like the super special feats that it will lean you into a particular playstyle.
Yeah.
On top of like the fundamentals that we'll talk about today.
After that, ability score improvements. Now all classes get ability score improvements. 4th, 8th, 12th, 16th, and 19th level. So you've got 5 times. Now with an ability score improvement, you can either increase one ability by 2 or 2 abilities by 1. So you basically get 2 points to spend.
Yeah, you have 2
for a total of 10 points throughout your characters. Although, I mean, if you're going up to level 19, good luck. That's pretty... It is what it is. Every class has it. We'll bring it up every time, don't you worry. What's next?
Extra attack.
Now, barbarians only get 1 extra attack, don't they? This is something that's shared by a few different...
When you say only, like this is a super common thing for people.
Fighters also
fighters
get them.
do it, but what else is extra attack?
Monks, paladins, rangers. I mean, fighters get like a bazillion extra attacks. That's kind of their secret sauce, isn't it?
Yeah. Don't tell anyone.
Yeah, everyone gets it at 5th level as well. It's pretty uniform. Fast movement, you also get that at 5th level. Your speed increases by 10 feet.
Actually pretty useful. Yeah, because like just being faster than most everyone has
especially
its
if
benefits.
you start as one that's slightly faster, an elf with like 35 movement. Because most things have about 30 to 40. If you can just about outpace 90%
with the
of
plus
creatures,
10, that means that you can outpace almost anything not mounted, right?
yeah, nothing like weird and extravagant, like a dragon or something. But yeah, most things you can just yeet yourself away from.
Yeah.
Feral Instinct.
This is 7th level.
7th level. You have advantage on initiative rolls. Additionally, if you're surprised at the beginning of combat and aren't incapacitated, you can act normal. So you can really...
You're not surprised.
Yeah.
And you have advantage on...
Initiative.
But
only if you enter your rage before doing anything else. So you have to use your rage in... Like, if someone tries to surprise you, you have to
be mad at that. Like, how dare you try to surprise me?
I like the flavor in that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, these are all pretty simple. Barbarian, I think, is a good...
Everything is rage.
Beginner class. It's a very kind of beginner class. It has a lot of flavor that you can bring to it, and there's definitely paths which can make it complicated.
Yeah, if you don't want to deal with magic, and if you want to, like, it has a clear progression, I think. When you get into the paths, it can definitely get more complicated, but, like, just the fundamentals of it is very melee-oriented.
Yeah, and it's like, you now have advantage on this. You now have a little bit more this. It's not like a whole new, bam, here's rules!
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Brutal Critical at 9th level.
Yeah, so this is just your critical is even better. So when you do a critical, like we talked about in our other episode on combat, you...
roll an additional weapon damage dice. But you roll 2 more at 13th level, an additional dice at 17th. You'll be rolling 3 dice.
Yeah, so where normally you would just roll 1 additional weapon damage dice. With Brutal Critical, you get to roll an extra 1 starting at 9th, and then more after that.
This is something worth talking to your DM before the campaign, and asking, how do you do crits?
Oh yeah, good point, because actually this is a
clashing rule.
Yes.
With a lot of homebrews.
It'll just depend on how critical hits work in every campaign.
Yeah.
So we'll back you up. Whatever you want, man. We'll back you up.
Yeah, send us an email. Toby@rulesaswrittenshow.com.
Yeah.
And I'll write you a personal letter that you can send to your DM. I'm not joking. I'll do it.
Yeah, it'll arrive in many months. But by that time, you will be right.
Some people on the internet said I was right. Relentless Rage, 11th level.
This one's
keep
great.
Fighting despite grievous runes, which basically you can drop to 0 while you're raging and you don't die.
Yes, so this is basically the you're dead, bang. No, I'm not. Yeah, so if you're raging, which you always are, so the answer is yes. If you drop to 0 hit points, then you just don't die. If you make a DC 10 Constitution saving throw, you just drop to 1 hit point. Every
DC
time.
10 con. Let's not. First of all,
your con is your best
should have
anyway.
like +3, +4, +5 to that roll.
Yeah.
And you have
advantage.
Not advantage.
Or
proficiency. Yeah. You have proficiency. So this is not a roll you should be failing.
Yeah. So you have a pretty good chance with this, and it will increase by 5 every time you use it. So you have the potential to just keep not dying for a fairly long time.
I think you could safely use it twice.
Yeah, after that,
as a well-spec'd barbarian.
But it's not
3 times.
impossible.
Oh yeah, no, you could get away with this. I've seen someone get away with this 4 times, past the 25.
Yeah, you're dead now.
Nope. How about now? Nope.
No, I'm not.
And also, it resets at a short rest, not just a long rest. So if you're dungeon diving deep, your DC, if you're on top of it, that DC should be resetting quite frequently.
Yeah, so mark that one. That's also one that you can very easily forget, I think.
Yeah.
But it comes up like very seldomly, depending on your campaign, I guess. But when it does, it is pretty cool to be like the whole, no, I'm not. I still fucking keep fighting.
Persistent Rage, 15th level. Your rage is so fierce that it ends only if you fall unconscious or choose it to end.
Yeah, now you have the on-off switch.
Yeah, perma-rage, basically.
So you don't have to worry about the previous rules that we just talked about rage. It just makes that a little bit simpler.
Indomitable Might at level 18. If the total for your strength check is less than your strength score, you can use that score in place of the total.
Yeah, so it's
basically,
like, no more lower than like
20 if you've maxed out your strength.
Yeah,
if you don't roll, if you roll less than a 20, you could have a 20 instead. At level 18, you should have maxed out your strength.
Yeah, so you will always get at least a 20.
Yeah, it's your score, not your modifier. I mean, your modifier wouldn't make sense at all. And the last one, Primal Champion. Your strength and con scores increase by 4. Your maximum goes from 20 to 24.
So that thing that we just said about how you're only rolling at least a 20.
I mean, that's now a 22.
Yeah, it's 24. Yeah, you can't.
24.
Can't roll any less.
And that's a +7. Goodness gracious. So, I mean, that's the basics of the Barbarian. He's a pretty straightforward guy, paths notwithstanding.
Punch stuff, kick stuff.
And yeah, as you level up, it's pretty straightforward. It's a very... All of these rules are a couple sentences.
Yes, and most everything revolves around rage. I think if you had to focus on one thing, one takeaway for a barbarian, it's like, learn your rage.
Yeah, really learn
Harness
how to...
your anger.
Really learn how to
Release
get on that rage.
Do it, let it flow through you.
So that's it. That's really it for today.
Yeah, that's Barbarians in a nutshell. That's not the name of this show, but that's a tagline.
Do you have any closing statements as someone that's played a Barbarian?
Yeah, so like we were talking about before, Barbarians, I think, their strength can also be their weakness. They're a very simple class where your progression, it's a very good one for like a beginner in that you have limited scope in what you can do. You don't have to worry about rules on magic and things like that. You can go just for melee, oftentimes not even ranged things.
Yeah.
Unless you throw in even some javelins or something.
Yes. Well, javelins use strength, don't they?
Yeah, so you can do some of that.
Oh, yeah, that's the top tip. Javelins are your long-range weapon.
Use them.
Because you get all the strength attack bonuses.
Yeah, and they're really fun.
They are.
Just fun to hurl. But also, as you mature as a player and as you become like more comfortable with this class, it's a really good one to explore playing with stereotypes, right? It's probably the most stereotyped class.
Definitely up there.
And it's very easy to be like, you know, well, I'm a normal barbarian, but maybe I like to be a hairdresser as well. I have a little soft side to me.
Yeah, so there's a lot of roleplay potential. It's quite a deep roleplay class.
Yeah.
And I think it has a clear direction, the role playing, but you don't have to follow it. And it's not like a druid where you are nature. You really have to role play nature, or you're jumping through a lot of hoops, which is totally fine. That's totally okay. But the way it's written, it really pushes you to like, you love nature. That is the druid.
Embrace it.
There is no other way to play a shapeshifter other than to really love nature without homebrewing stuff. Homebrewing like a backstory or whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas the barbarian
nature with a barbarian is just something that has molded him into
it's a lot more open. Your story has a lot more like nuance.
Yeah.
But that's it for today. We're off to play D&D.
Yeah. Got to go.
So instead of talking D&D, we're gonna go play D&D.
Yeah.
That's a reference no one will get.
Mom says it's my bedtime, so I gotta go.
Don't worry, I'll write her a letter. See you guys.
Later.
Bye.